Hey guys, welcome to some r/entitled parents, where today we're gonna be looking at an entitled dad being so lazy that he tries to take a grandma's wheelchair. So, several months ago, my granny-in-law was in an accident. That was not her fault. This resulted in both her fake leg and her real leg getting broken, among other injuries. Granny is just full of rage. She's 80 years of rage, people. She had fought hard for decades over wanting to be independent and never be put in a home or become someone's burden. She wanted to live in her own home, take care of herself, and die in her own bed. Sadly, the accident made that impossible now. She'll never be able to walk under her own power again, and she's hurting herself using a walker or whatever you call those wheeled things. She wants to live at home. However, she knew that she would need someone there constantly and hired a day nurse and a night nurse to come take care of her. She refuses to move into any home, relatives or otherwise. Well, in an effort to get her out of the house, me wifey and I would take her out. Yes, we were being very careful about where we were taking her and going all out on masks and antibacterial everything. We tried to take her places that weren't too crowded but also wheelchair accessible. Well, a mall that was about an hour out of town had reopened. It's a sad place because many of the stores were closed and possibly would never get any new business. It was a dying building, but the food court still had excellent food. We went there today. The kids were playing off with some friends, so it was just me wifey, me granny and myself taking laps around the mall, taking turns on who pushes granny. Now, Granny was wearing a long skirt, but didn't have her fake leg on. You couldn't really see that she had one leg unless you were looking very closely. So I kind of understand why this ED thought that my granny had two legs. See, we got hungry and went to the food court to get healthy food to eat. We pulled up to a table and started to chow down. Then ED appeared. I don't even need to transcribe this part. It's a dime a dozen story about an entitled parent that wants the wheelchair that someone is currently using. We say no, she says no and cannot walk, and then the ED demands it's for his son. He was sitting at another table looking like he was out cold. He was that tired looking. Granny finally had enough and looked at him right in the eye and said, "Young man, this is my chair, which I need to move about. I don't care how tired your son is, he cannot have this. I will not be able to walk at all." ED obviously replies, "You may be old, but you don't need it at all. You can walk, ye old crone." Granny got red in the face. "Old crone? Looky here, little boy. I may be old, but I can still kick your ass, even if my only leg is in bad shape." ED scoffs at her. "I bet you're only faking about having one leg." Granny looked like she was going to yell again, except she just grinned. She turned her chair to him and lifted up her skirt. She showed him that she was, indeed, missing a leg. "Think I'm faking here, kid?" she goes in a snide tone. "Think this is a fake stump?" ED looked embarrassed and tried to talk. Granny wouldn't let him. She actually lifted up her stump a bit. "Why don't you touch my stump? Come on, it might be a real stump, might be fake. Touch it and see. Touch my stump. If it's a fake stump, the chair is yours." The guy backed off and started for his table, except Granny started to wheel after him, yelling at him, "Come on, touch my stump, you know you want to, touch it." My wifey was cracking up at this, so I had to be the one to grab her chair and bring her back. The ED picked his son up and carried him out of there quickly. Granny was grumbling about how rude that man was, but she looked so damn proud of herself. While few people there that were in hearing range were also laughing, although two people looked disgusted at my granny-in-law. Screw them. At least that got some of her anger out of her system. The situation calmed her down a great deal and cheered her up. "Oh hey, it's an old woman. I should definitely take her wheelchair because that's a wonderful idea. Not like she would end up to be disabled or something. Pfft. In all seriousness, this grandma deserves the best grandma on earth award." Imagine being such a lazy flip that you would take an old lady's wheelchair because you don't want to carry the son that you made. Yeah, okay buddy. Entitled mother asks me to turn down the volume on a lawnmower. A little bit of context. I'm 14 years old and I have no way of making money other than mowing lawns. My local church's lawn is huge and they pay my dad around 6 to 10k a year to do it, and he pays me $8 an hour, and we have to mow the lawn there every week, and it takes us about 2 to 3 hours each time. So we arrive at the church, lift up the deck, and release the straps and everything to get the mower off the trailer. And I get to use the zero turn this time. An hour and a half later, EM walking up, the church is next to a park. Could you turn down the volume of the mower please? My son doesn't like it. Yes, that's right. She asked me to turn down the volume. Me. Sorry ma'am, it doesn't work that way. You can't just turn down the volume because it's not a TV. Obviously, I knew what she meant, but if I turn it down, it'd take ages to do the lawn. Fine, then I'll just tell your father, Go right ahead. He'll tell you the exact same thing, except he'll make it a bigger problem for you. Fine. She didn't go to my father, she actually went back to the park and sat down with a crappy look on her face. 10 minutes or so later, and EM was pissed. Walking over to me now, I was on the south field next to my dad's truck while talking to my dad. Your son is driving like a maniac. No, I wasn't. And he refuses to turn down the volume of the mower. And my son doesn't like loud noises. My dad. Sorry, suck it up, he can't turn it down. He was using finger quotes. But what he can do is make it go slower, which makes it quieter. EM looking for a chance to cut him off and be right. So the little bitch lied to me. Well, yeah, but then it'd take us much longer to do our work. My dad then proceeds to grab the edger and walks off the highway to Edge, and I drive off to finish mowing. EM had walked away with a furious look in her eyes, but she couldn't do anything about it. Who in their right mind thinks that a lawnmower has a volume button? Sometimes I put my lawnmower on mute when I do my front yard. Where I grew up was very rural. I'm talking 400 people and very few families. So as a young person learning to navigate their first blossoms of sexuality, I used to read a lot of romance novels. Forgive me, this is exactly how I thought as a young person. I had limited scope for dating. I also had a very special sort of stepmother. My dad is a gem. He's that bloke's bloke who is really just a giant pile of mush and love. My stepmom was a brittle, fragile and damaged woman. She was obsessed with her looks, and her two stepdaughters becoming attractive teenagers was a bit of stark reality check for her. It does sound vain of me to say that we were attractive, but at the time I didn't feel that way. I was awkward in myself and my body, and due to the fact that every social situation was with the same people over and over again, I was also a bit odd. So yes, I was very pretty but socially inept. My lovely stepmother played on this. She was the master of manipulation and sneaky snide comments. Someone once commented favorably on my height in her hearing, and she piped into the conversation by saying, "Yes, she's getting such a round butt. I'm so glad I've got a nice flat neat bottom." Thank you for that single sentence that gave me further body confidence issues. You're a flippin' star. Anyway, back to my attempts to woo and be wooed in a place where there isn't even a takeaway. I had limited options. There was the boy I had grown up with my entire life who repeated the words "moo cow" at me whenever I spoke to him for a period of 4 years. He stopped around the time my boobs came in. The one who wore 4 pairs of underwear because he thought it looked cool, or his big brother who was as socially awkward as I was. I chose the socially awkward big brother. He was 18 to my 15 and we started dating. Which meant that we did the exact same things that we had done for years, except sometimes we held hands when no one could see us and we kissed on the beach. It was all very innocent and sweet, until it wasn't. See, he'd only just turned 18 and was now allowed to drink at the only pub where we lived. And who was the biggest barfly at this pub? Why, my very own stepmother. She was very unhappy about my relationship. I can only assume because of her issues with my dad, their relationship was falling apart. So she took to drinking with this awkward young man and quizzing him on the things we did. The stupid turnip face lapped up this attention because she's a beautiful and charming woman when she wants to be. She starts asking about our virginity in the guise of being a protective mother. Her own motherly action to me at this age was to tell me that I should pluck my eyebrows. He admits we haven't even got close to doing the deed. They keep getting drunk together and he starts knocking on my ground floor window at stupid hours of the night, drunker than Hunter S. Thompson and just as shouty. Starts slurring all these things about how he's ready to move to the next level and wants to feel me. He thinks this is sexy. Anyone reading this that thinks this is sexy, no. Slurring is never sexy. You are wrong and potentially need to reevaluate your life choices. I may have been socially awkward, but Dad had raised me to be independently strong, so after the third night of this, I told his giant of a human to flip off and that we were done. Oh, he cried, and he visibly cried, for like a week every time he saw me. So I just hung out at home so I didn't have to see him. This is where the stepmother comes in. I will never be privy to this conversation, and nor do I enjoy even thinking of what could have been said. I am actually pulling a very disgusted face just thinking about it. It's been a week since I told him to go crawl into a pile of fish guts when he drunkenly knocks on my window again. I open it, sighing to myself while picking up something long and pokey. These incoherent words burst from his mouth. "We can be together, we don't need to have sex. I can wait until you are ready because I have a solution. Your mom has said that we can do it, and then you'll still be okay and we can be in a relationship. And it won't mean anything, but I just wanna be with you." It was about 15 minutes of this garbled bullcrap before I gathered what he was trying to say. My stepmother had started to freak him. She'd made it out to him that by the two of them having sex, he could keep his relationship with me pure and innocent. Oh yes, collective jaw drop there. Firstly, at her flipping audacity. Secondly, at how goddamn stupid this guy was. That's the end of the tale. I never spoke to him again, and the stepmother wasn't much longer in the picture. Seriously, how bloody dumb was my first boyfriend? That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe subscribe? Maybe like? Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.